I hope you are not easily triggered. If you are, this video is not for you. I'm gonna share this video to show you the level of racism perspective against whites and how tolerated these things have become and how very few are willing to challenge it. If you were to flip the script, these type of languages you're about to hear will not be acceptable to any other person in the entire world, let alone the black race. Now, the first video, I got a number of videos for you. Like I've said, one of the reasons I'm sharing this is to bring light to it in the hope that we can have the discussion and begin to change, not to bring about division. All know division is already happening. We're already divided. The goal is to say, what are we fighting about? The goal is to say, can we get along? The goal is to say, let's have the discussion. The goal is to say, who are dividing us this way? And what can we do to live as a people? We may not agree on everything, but do we need to be killing each other in the way that we are being told to do, taught to do, or motivated to do? Now, here is one video. What are white people superior at? Listen to the answers.
What are white people superior at?
What exactly are white people superior at?
Smelling funky.
Letting their egos control their every move.
Privilege. Making bland food.
Playing the victim.
Congratulating themselves over shit that they're incompetent at or that should have already been done.
They're superior at being dicks.
What are Native American people superior at?
Corn mazes.
What are Hispanic people superior at?
Smelling funky.
Insecurity. Pretending.
Fear.
Being fearful of nothing.
Being ignorant.
Blame.
Letting their egos control their every move.
Privilege.
Playing the victim.
Congratulating themselves over shit that they're incompetent at or that should have already been done.
They're superior at being dicks.
What are Asian people superior at?
Oppression.
Gaslighting.
Lack of empathy.
Intellectualizing oppression.
Did I say oppression?
Smelling funky.
They're just creatively thinking of new ways of like always staying one step ahead of other people.
What are black people superior at?
They're real good at violence.
Violence.
It's like stealing people's lives just because they feel like it.
Taking what's not there.
Taking shit.
Taking our ideas.
Copycat. Smelling funky.
Honey, lying, stealing, and cheating.
Manipulation.
Withholding information.
Lying.
Telling lies.
They are very good at destruction of land, destruction of people, destruction of humanness.
I want to hear your thought on that. There were different races addressed here. They gave their perspective. Whether or not you like it, at least you've heard it. You've heard what they say about white people, Hispanic people, what they say about blacks, even Asians. This is it. So this goes to show black people have their perspective concerning some individuals, and so do whites. But the question is, what about the racist rant, comments, and remarks that are consistently being said concerning whites? Did you remember when Tucker Carlson went after Stephanie Cross on MSNBC Hee Haw, and she eventually got fired? Do you remember some of the things she was saying on her channel and why she was fired? People got upset. But guess what? These were the words that she was promoting on television over and over again. Take a listen.
Who hosts a show called The Cross Connection. Here's a selection.
Many of us have seen the dangers when powerful white people decide they want something, they annex it. And they've never had a problem replacing the people who stand in their way.
We see American white people are going crazy. They're resorting to violence.
This is literally what conservative white folks do when they don't get their way. They turn violent.
White people deputizing themselves in some position of authority to have jurisdiction over their life when they need to mind their blanking business.
I don't think it's our responsibility to be tasked with destroying and dismantling the
racial oppression that's against us. That's just saying we're more at fault than the white people who constructed this system and the white people who continue to practice institutional racism.
A majority of white people do not support policies that would unpack and unroll and reform this system of justice. This is what they want. Matt Gaetz is giving the white folks what they want.
White replacement can strangle culture. So yes, we should all be concerned about white replacement. It is, after all, a very threat to our survival here.
Here's more. Here's Tiffany Cross at MSNBC.
Look, a lot of folks in that Capitol insurrection, some of these folks were white women. And I know we're talking a lot about Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, but I do think that some of the white women who have adopted this ideology, is America ready to face the fact that some of those folks look like people they have elevated and put on a pedestal of being untouchable? What do you say about this wing of white women who have been radicalized and are enablers to this very dangerous domestic terrorism movement that we've seen increase quite rapidly?
So it's not just whites, it's white women. Their women are bad too. And women, of course, are the key to reproducing the white race, which is clearly a threat, as she says again and again. She's oppressed. That's the key. Watch this.
What we didn't see were enough voices willing to point out the deeper, festering rot that's plagued this nation since it was born. People who neither discovered nor built this land have been led to believe that America is theirs and theirs alone. Will this democracy survive? Well, a Yahoo News poll says no. But perhaps when you build a nation on stolen land with stolen labor, it was never going to be a republic we could keep. And so here we are, celebrating the birth of a nation, independence for white men.
I'm so glad she was fired, rightfully so, because let me ask you a question. If you think this is good to have this perspective of a group of people, I'm going to ask you another question. Are you ready for a civil war? Now, if you think it's not that bad, let me share something else with you. Did you hear about the school where these white kids, a local news, didn't make major news, where these white kids were forced to say Black Lives Matter? They were dragged in the schoolyard and forced to say it. There it is.
New at 6, Springfield police are investigating a possible assault at an elementary school. This involved two groups of students. Good evening. I'm Cheryl McHenry.
And I'm James Brown. We have News Center 7's John Bedell. He's live in Springfield with details he's uncovered in a police report. And John, you also talked with one of the victim's parents.
James and Cheryl, we asked Springfield City Schools for a copy of the video showing what happened here at Kenwood Elementary. They refused, so I filed a formal public records request with the district for that footage this afternoon. Meantime, Mom and Dad tell me their son is traumatized. Ryan Springer and Ashley Henthorne told me they were upset they didn't find out about an incident at school on Friday until Monday. They said their son, a 6th grader at Kenwood Elementary, hasn't been the same since. A Springfield police incident report we got a hold of shows school staff told police they waited until Monday to report the incident to officers because they were still interviewing students involved. The report says it happened on the playground during recess when a group of black students had gathered several white students to a specific spot on the playground and forced them to say Black Lives Matter against their will, with some kids recording this. Police wrote the principal here told officers a few students who tried avoiding the situation were chased down and either escorted, dragged, or carried to the spot on the playground. Officers said one student was punched in the head. There are no formal charges right now, but the incident report lists an investigation into offenses of possible assault and menacing, something Springer said his 12-year-old should not have to experience, especially at school.
I'm more upset of the assault part of it, of the children being forced down on the ground by other children and stuff. Not so much of them like making them to say BLM, because you know all lives do matter. The school staff should have recognized the behavior and the problem before it got that far.
Mom says she noticed their son hasn't been himself since Friday.
And I kept asking him all weekend, "Are you okay?" And he kept saying, "Yeah, I'm just tired." And then when I got the phone call Monday about it, I was like, that explained a lot.
We reached out to Springfield City Schools for comment today. They declined, saying this is a Springfield police matter. Springfield PD told us they're still investigating what happened here, and they'll work with prosecutors to review possible formal charges.
You didn't hear it in your mainstream news, did you? It didn't matter. Now, here is another one. I hope you're not upset with me because talking about this, my hope is to bring light in the hope we can have the conversation, in the hope we can change. And we need to understand who our enemies are. White people, your enemies are not really black people. Black people, your enemies are not white people. I will say first is the devil. Second is a system that is profiting of our division. And we need to play this thing smart. And we need to overcome the way the system is dividing us as a people. Okay? And we need to stop allowing them to play with our psyche. They're playing with our psyche. They know if we put our differences aside and we come together, they cannot overcome the people. So therefore, they bring division among them. Therefore, as we are distracted in our bitterness and hatred toward each other, therefore, whatever it is they want to push forward, it's an easy slide. You get it? That's what's going on. So now, gosh, this one makes me upset. These are ministers. Now, this is Andy Stanley, which I don't have much respect for him as a minister after hearing some of his disturbing remarks, whatever. He says that you have to offend white people or they will never repent of racism. This is coming from the mouth of a pastor. Don't take it from me. Take a listen.
After a super mega church that is predominantly African American in terms of the composition, even though it is diverse. But the Black or African American church has always been engaged in this journey. However, Andy, you pastor a church that is diverse, but that is majority white, and it's a huge church. So how do you get a church like yours engaged in this area or even interested in it when it's most of the people there may not, many of them do, but some of them don't care about this issue because it has not affected them the way it has affected people in Bishop Bronner's church? So I know that's a tough question, but
that was an amazing answer. Did you just come up with that? That was like, I wanted to take notes, but I didn't have anything to write on. So you just talking about white people for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. You have to offend white people with this topic to get their attention. You can't.
What? Offend white people to get their attention. Really? This is coming from the mouth of a minister. Okay.
You have to offend white people with this topic to get their attention. It can't be stated in balanced tones or we don't even hear it. Because no white person really thinks they're a racist and they don't even think they're prejudiced. We don't. And issues of reparations, all those things, it's like, well, that wasn't us and that wasn't you, and why are we even talking about it? So I really am convinced you have to push harder on that topic to even get a white man, especially if I talk about white men, to get a white man's attention. And I know this from personal experience in terms of things said in sermons, things that our other pastors have said in sermons that finally, it's only when we get negative email that I know, well, we finally got their attention. They finally heard what we were saying, because it is buried so deep and it is so easily dismissed, and especially for white men who have very few interactions with black men or have virtually no black friends who are in conversations with them, which we can talk about in a few minutes. So part of it is, the scripture addresses so many topics, but when it comes to this topic, because virtually no white man thinks they are guilty, it's not enough to, you have to push and push and push to the point where, hey, wait a minute, I think you're pushing an agenda. Well, you're finally listening. I finally got to that point of your conscience that it's bothered by this.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
How's that? It wasn't as good as yours, but
that
it was
was
pretty
that
good.
was
Yeah.
That was pretty profound, Andy. That was really profound.
Neither of those questions were on our list, were they? Yeah.
Wow. I've read somewhere, somebody said, the sin of the world lies at the doors of the church. When you got church people who have been given the gospel or preaching the same hate mongering racist message, this doesn't mean we don't have racist problem in church. It does exist. The discussion needs to happen. But to have to offend somebody, reverse discrimination, disrespect a person, offend them is the way to get their attention when it comes to racism? I don't think so, buddy. How about befriend them? How about sitting down and get to know them, understand their perspective, what is it that they want, and meet their needs? When Caucasian folks united with blacks and fought to end slavery, did they needed to be offended? Or did they see a cause that needed to be fought for, lives that were lost? How many people who were white fought, wrote, spoke, marched to end slavery and segregation and Jim Crow? Did we have to disrespect them? Did our black founding fathers, did they have to do anything like that? How often has the gospel been preached by black people, to black people, by white people, to black people, vice versa, and they've been able to get along and put aside their differences and work out their issues without doing all this offensive stuff? The thing is, we can do better than this. And I think this is enough rant. I don't want to add another one. There's plenty more. I can tell you I have plenty more on my list, but I think it's enough. So I would like to say, if you happen to be a black person listening to my channel right now, I'm not what you would refer to as an Uncle Tom, and you can call me that if you want to. But I will say, what kind of world do you want to live in? A world where the perspective is consistently being promulgated to hate your neighbor because of the color of their skin? Is this the world you want? Not because of something he's done to you, but because of the sin of his ancestors? Didn't the Bible teach you that the sins of the fathers, you cannot use the sins of the fathers against the sons and their children? That is something biblically accurate. And secondly, do we want to live in a world where white people and black people are consistently fighting with each other? We were making progress. We were doing fine. This racist stuff, I feel like it didn't start like this until Mr. Obama came in office. I feel like somewhere around that time, this stuff has picked up speed. And with some of these mass shooters that took place and some of these marches with the rise of the Black Lives Matter, it has opened some serious wounds in America. And now we are looking at the results. And the truth is, as a people, when we are left alone, when we are not being told how to hate one another, you know what's amazing? Both black and white, they figure out their issues. They sit down and talk. We have dinner. We can have our differences and we talk about them. Never comes to a point where we hurting and hating and planning to hurt each other like this. And people are getting upset because Scott Adams decided that to make the statement that he made, white people get the HELL away from black people because of the level of hatred and vitriol that are in our hearts as black people against white. And this is not okay. I hope you understand all I'm trying to do is to bring people together. Is to say we're not that different after all. Our skin color is different. Yeah, we do have a different history, different culture and perspective. But at the end of the day, we are family. The people who want to see us divided are those who want to conquer both of us. Okay? They want to see us destroy each other. And in turn, they can destroy us at the end. That's how they stay in power. That's how they control. That's how they dominate us. So do we have issues we can fix and talk and pray about? I think we do. Not everything is perfect among the culture. And what do you expect when you live in a society that is so diverse? It's just the way it is. It's just the way it's going to be. We got to be real. However, the way we are being panned against each other, it doesn't have to be. We can choose to reject that. And I think a white person sometime, as a white person, if I may say something to you, I'm not saying you shouldn't do what is best for yourself and your family. You should protect your home, live where you feel safe. But at the same time, always have an open heart and understand that not every black person thinks this way. And also look to build bridges instead of walls. Trying to have the conversation, make things happen, and speak about the way you feel about some of this stuff. Not just us, only black people should be talking about this. When you talk about it as well, your voice should be magnified. They're going to call you racist no matter what. It's okay. Welcome the name. Speak it anyway. But I will say, look to build relationship with people, especially blacks who are willing to listen and talk to you about it. It's okay to have the tough conversation. And what I realize is, don't make your decision based on what the media is telling us. And black people, same thing is true. Don't make decision on what the media is telling you about your neighbors. We have a lot more in common than we have in opposition. And they feed off our separation. They feed off our fears. And we have to stop letting them do that. We don't have to be so abused by them anymore. And I'm going to read a few passages to you, and then we're going to end this video. Thank you for being patient with me today. It says, rejoice. He says, okay, be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love, in honor, referring one another. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Rejoice in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer. We are told furthermore, rejoice with them that do rejoice, weep not with them, weep with them that do weep. So in other words, let us share in each other's pain and sorrow. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescending to man of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceit. In other words, let's be humble in the eyes of each other. Recompense to no man evil for evil, providing things honest in the sight of all men. So what does that mean? Forgive each other. If I have done you wrong, friends, I must be able to humble myself and ask for your forgiveness, and you must be willing to forgive me, and vice versa. If it be possible, as much as lie in you, live peaceably with all men. If it be possible. In some cases, it is not, and this is when you have to make your move and find a different way to go somewhere else to live. But as much as you can, man, let's live peaceably together. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, save the Lord. Now look at this principle. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcomer of evil, but overcome evil with good. Friends, this is how you bring people together right here. Seeing how God sees us as a people, and then we put aside our differences. We work on things that need to be worked on. We figure out ways to make it work for the best of us, for the both of us. Sometimes we have to make some compromises. Some of the time I might have to lose for you to gain. Sometimes you might have to lose for me to gain. That's what it means to be human. That's what it means to be a family. The division that is happening on the media, on YouTube, it doesn't have to happen in our lives if we choose not to let it. Having that conversation, being honest, that face-to-face connection, eye-to-eye contact, giving that warm hug when it is needed, weeping, crying when you need my tears, learning to hold each other's hands when things are tough, praying for one another when needed. If you're feeling hurt, share that pain with me and I'll share my pain with you. We will heal racism overnight if we will do these things. We will forgive each other and move on. But unfortunately, we watch too much television and media, and this is what's dividing us. We can overcome, though. We can overcome. We shall overcome. Only those who are willing. Thanks for listening, friends. I know it's been a long one, and this is something that's been on my heart, man. We got to do better, and we can do better. We can overcome the system. We can overcome the devil. With the cross of Christ, with the love of God in our hearts, nothing is impossible. Thank you for listening, friends. Until next time, and as always, remember to look unto Jesus and to live by faith. Have a good one. Bye.